How many of you believe that you have the right to advance as far as your work ethic and your talent will take you? How many of you work until the job is done and not until the clock tells you it's time to go home? How many of you believe that only American citizens should be allowed to vote in our elections? I have 2 hands there. How many of you believe that that flag should be respected? How many of you believe in a person's right to work, but not in their right to a handout when they're capable of working? How many of you believe that the press should be unbiased and just report the facts? And how many of you tonight are proud to be an American? I want to ask these questions because that's Republicans. You belong here, you're Republicans, and now the question that Stan put out earlier is, what are we going to do about it? Our country would have failed in 1776, it would have failed in 1860. And you know something? The situation that we're in today is almost the same. It's just more subtle. It's more subtle. We're being run by the mob, not the people. And to some extent, we've permitted this to happen because of our own pettiness and our own willingness to let others do the work necessary to ensure that our rights are going to be established and are going to continue. If you're a Republican, you will actively support your party candidate, even though you might not agree with that person, or that might not have been your choice. The day of throwing internet tantrums, which we had for a while, everybody was getting on the internet, and staying quiet, and then at home, are over. If you want to be a Republican, if you want to bring these things we just talked about to fruition, you've got to get out. Now, why do we have to meet the challenge? We're not meeting it for me. We're not meeting it for you. I'm meeting it for, where's Jack? Pull him up. Jack, yeah. That's why you're doing it. You're not doing, this has nothing to do with self-gratiation. Nothing. This is what we want to do, what we have to do, because we want our country to be the way it was originally set up. And I'm so happy to see you here tonight. We're going to have questions. I'm going to read the rules, not that they're always followed. But I just thank you so much for coming out. And I don't want you to forget what you have to do to change what's happening here around. Now, we have our candidates here, and what we're going to do, each candidate is going to be given a 3-minute opening speech. Who's the timer?
Yeah.
Yes,
Right there.
Your timekeeper just walked away.
The last time she did yelling at me, and I wasn't the one talking. Each person will then be given 2 pre-selected questions. They were selected. I have them here. And then we're going to offer you the opportunity to ask questions. We can do 2 or 3. We're happy to do. We'll do as many as we can within our relative time limit. So having said that, let me introduce you to France. France?
Good evening, fellow Republicans. Feels good to say that, right? My name is Krazalkovich. I am a Republican state committee person. I am an area leader from Area 2, which is Pottstown in the greater Pottstown area. I am a United States Air Force veteran, and I am a township commissioner in Upper Merion Township. But that's not what I want to talk to you about for the next couple of minutes. I'm also the grandson of a strong woman born in Poland, who at the age of 16 was captured and processed through Auschwitz. She spent 3 years there until the end of the war, at which time she and countless others were saved and liberated by American and Allied forces. My father, her first son, joined the United States Air Force right out of high school, unfortunately passed away at the age of 52 and is buried at Barrancas National Cemetery in Pensacola, Florida. And a few years later, we buried my grandmother not far from him at that same cemetery. I'm also the proud grandson of a two-time Silver Star recipient, two-time Bronze Star recipient. My grandfather spent over 30 years in the United States Army in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. When he was born, his father had just been deployed to France for World War I. His mother, since his father was in France, decided to name him France. My mother, the youngest of 4 daughters, wanted to name her firstborn son after her father, so my name is also France. My namesake, my hero, is today buried at Arlington National Cemetery, having passed away in 2002. I hope you understand when I say that it's that commitment to service, that legacy, that led me to enlist in the United States Air Force right out of high school, right after graduation. It's also that legacy and that dedication to service that called me to serve my community, my neighbors in Upper Merion Township as a township commissioner. And it's that love of country, that commitment to service, that leads me here tonight to ask you humbly to support me for the Republican nomination for Montgomery County Commissioner. And I thank you very much for your consideration.
Sean Gale.
Hello everyone, I'm Sean Gale and I'm running for County Commissioner with my running mate, the incumbent Montgomery County Commissioner, Joe Gale. And I'll take this time to tell you a little bit about myself. I know a lot of you in this room because I got involved in politics back in 2006. That's when I first started getting involved. I was 14 years old. And I was the first one they called for several years. You needed somebody to go out and put up signs, you called the Gale brothers. You need somebody to go out and get signatures, I know a lot of us are doing that now, you called the Gale brothers. Anything you needed, anything any Republican candidate needed, they called the Gale brothers. And we were more than happy to do it. Until things started to change. We started working for candidates who didn't vote like Republicans when they were elected, and working for good candidates who weren't being supported by the party. And we saw it time and time and time again. And I think the greatest example of that was Tom Corbett, our last Republican governor, who I elected to do things like pension reform, privatize liquor. None of that happened. Know what we got instead? The highest gas tax in the nation, passed by a Republican governor, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate. That's not the party that I was working for, and that's not the party that Joe Gale was working for. So that was in 2014, he lost to now Governor Tom Wolf. A few months later, to add insult to injury, the Republican Party endorsed a former board member of Planned Parenthood. That's not my party, and that's not Joe Gale's party. And that's when Joe decided to run for Montgomery County Commissioner, and that's when I joined him as his campaign manager. Since then, Joe's been elected, and he's been a true conservative Republican, one like we haven't seen in a long time, and one we need desperately. But the only problem is there's one Joe Gale, we need 2 of them, and that's why I'm running, to take the second seat back in Montgomery County. And Joe asked me to be his running mate, because one, we need somebody who can win. I know how to win. I was Joe's campaign manager. I led his major upset victory in 2015 in the primary, and then again in the general, making him the youngest county commissioner ever elected, and the first ever elected without a majority party endorsed. He had no party backing him, still elected. Secondly, he needed somebody who could be a county commissioner, and I can do that. I'm a graduate of Temple University with a background in finance and real estate. I went on to Villanova Law School, where I earned my degree there. I currently work as general counsel for a healthcare conglomerate. behavioral health, fighting the drug and alcohol addiction epidemic that's sweeping across not only the nation, but right here in Montgomery County. I have the background, I have the skills, and I know how to win. And that's why Joe picked me to be his running mate, and that's why I'm asking all of you to pick me to be your nominee. Thank you.
Great time. Thank you, Judge. Well, good evening. My name is Fred Connor. I'm running to be one of your 2 Republican county commissioners. Because only with 2 will we restore a majority to the Board of Commissioners and make this county great again for all its residents. And not just a few, the lucky few who happen to be on the Democratic payroll and are represented by our opposition. Let me get out of the way some suspense and not keep you in suspense and highlight 4 things that I think are important to all of us. First of all, I am a pro-life family man who is joined here this evening by my 11-year-old son, Brad. Rick is home doing his math homework with his mom, and his mom is preparing for her pro-life meeting tomorrow at St. Helena's Church in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, where she'll be attending that monthly meeting. Second, I am a Second Amendment supporter and as a former Marine infantry officer and combat firearms instructor, I am very comfortable being around weapons, and I'm very comfortable with you being around weapons and owning weapons if that's what you choose to do. Third, I voted for President Trump, and because I, like a majority of Pennsylvanians, like a majority of us, believed we needed a disruptor, which he certainly has shown to be. And in 2016, I worked very hard for the President and for Senator Toomey and our entire slate, as I have for every Republican candidate since I began my tour in 2006 as a committee man in 6 and a voting poll at Wings Field, and stand out there twice a year trying to convince all my neighbors to vote for all of our Republicans. Fourth, and most importantly, whoever the Republican voters of this county choose to be their 2 nominees for county commissioner, whichever one of these gentlemen that may be on May 21st. On May 22nd, we're going to start working very hard with all of our row officer candidates, our fine row officer and super qualified row officer candidates, and across the county as a team of teams, so that we take the fight to the competition, to our opponents, and it absolutely is a fight these days. We take that fight to our opponents in every borough, every township, every school district, because what animates our party now in so many ways is the craziness that's going on in Washington. Well, let me tell you, as you know well, the craziness is right here. The craziness is right here in Upper Merion, and it's emblematic that we have this meeting here in Upper Merion, not the city of King of Prussia, which we'll talk about later. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. I'm just waiting for you to get over close.
Thank you, Judge. My name is Dean Eisenberger, and I want to be your next Montgomery County Commissioner. Whenever I say that to someone, the first question I always get is why? The answer is simple. I believe that Montgomery County is heading in the wrong direction when it comes to how it treats its taxpayers, and we need a change in leadership to fix that. Our next Board of Commissioners must be willing to make those tough decisions, rein in spending, and stop playing politics if we are to ensure a better future for our residents. I believe I am best prepared to make those decisions, and I think once you know more about me, you're going to agree. First, I made tough decisions governing. As Plymouth Township Council Chairman, I answered the call for residents to provide stable funding for our emergency services while holding the line on all of our taxes. We eliminated debt And when I left office in January of 2018, I left a surplus of $8 million. We stood up to the special interests and ensured cost-effective contracts that help the taxpayers. Second, I will bring the county government a real-world perspective of a successful businessman who has found and grown his own business, managing budgets and creating jobs, most of them here in Montgomery County, of a husband and father concerned with the future that we're leaving of our children, of a former law enforcement officer committed to keeping our community safe, and the perspective of a taxpayer tired of government having their hand in a never-ending bottomless pocket. Finally, and this may be most important of all, I am not a politician. I assumed life in politics ended when I left township government. I promise you today that I have no future ambitions other than being your county commissioner. My life has been spent in service helping others, as I mentioned. I spent a career in law enforcement. I'm proud of having earned numerous decorations throughout my career, including the Fraternal Order of Police David Hancock Award for heroism. All proving to me that my call was to fulfill my commitment to you and my community. I only ran for township council after being approached by my neighbors. I brought to that office the same commitment of service that I had as a police officer. Today, with the challenges that Montgomery County faces, I see running for county commissioner as a continuation of that service. My goal is simple: make our county stronger for the future and for our children. I'm ready to do what's necessary to win. My team is ready, and I will never ever stop working, doing the doors, raising the money, and attending meetings just like this. The final piece of the puzzle is you. Your support, your ideas, your knowledge. I am ready to serve and make this county stronger than it has ever been. I promise you that, and I humbly ask for your support as we move forward through this election cycle. And I ask you for that support for your county commissioner position. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the two questions that were prepared prior to us getting to you. By the way, I do want to correct something. It says here, the moderator will choose which audience questions will be asked. That's not true. I just want you to know that, because I want to go back to Lower Gwinnett live. All right, this is the first question. Can you offer one example of what impact illegal immigration has had on Montgomery County, and do you think President Trump's proposed border wall will help? Frank?
Is that my first, Sean?
Mark?
Who goes first?
You want me to go first?
I was just going to go down the way you're sitting here, if that's all right.
I was just trying to be fair, sir. So the question was what impact illegal immigration has had in Montgomery County and whether or not the border wall would mitigate.
Will help.
So the first thing that I would say, Your Honor, is that Montgomery County currently is a sanctuary county. Our law enforcement, unfortunately, has been instructed not to ask the status of an individual when they're being stopped. So immediately the answer to my question, or the answer to your question rather, sir, is that we need to flip around that policy. And I think that stopping folks at the border, making sure they're coming here legally, would help mitigate that fact. And frankly, we need people in office at the county level, both in the sheriff's office and in the commissioner's office, that would flip that policy and no longer provide a safe haven for those that are in the United States illegally. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, so to answer your question, one, I'm very much in favor of the border wall. And I think it does impact people here in Montgomery County. And it's one of the points that I think Donald Trump made so clear is the impact on the opioid epidemic and all the drugs that pour across the border. I'll tell you, I see it every day. I work in the drug and alcohol field, and I see every day people my age, 26, 27, 28 years old, who have hit rock bottom. Right when they're supposed to be growing and maturing and finding their stride, they're rock bottom, searching for help. And I'm happy to be part of the place helping it. But where we need help also is on the border. And one good thing that came from it is we were able, with that, Donald Trump articulating that issue so well, he was able to get elected. And that's the first step that we took with actually fixing the border problem and the immigration problem that we've had. And Pennsylvania voted for Trump the first time of any Republican since 1988. And I think the immigration issue had a large part to do with that. So one, I think we need to articulate the issue. We have to explain to people that it does affect us here in Montgomery County. And it does. And the jobs that are taken by illegal immigrants, that should be taken by tax-paying residents of Montgomery County, that affects us here in Montgomery County too. We may not be a border state, but it affects us here. And it affects Philadelphia and all the surrounding counties. So I think it's very important that we do build a wall. I think we should have done it the first year, frankly. I think to be talking about funding for the wall now, we should have done that the first time. And Paul Ryan and the boys in Congress should have been a little less worried about re-election. They lost anyway. They should have got the funding for the wall. They should have it being built right now. Thank you.
Thank you, thanks, Judge. So as your next county commissioner, one of your next two Republican county commissioners, I don't get a vote on the border wall, but I'll tell you what, I'll bring a perspective to that national debate. As an American and as a Marine rifle company commander, I took my rifle company down to the Arizona-Mexico border, and I saw the border. I patrolled the border. My Marines got excellent small unit training, supporting ICE at the time, Border Patrol, Customs, and other law enforcement agencies. So do we need to build a wall? Absolutely, it's a no-brainer. But that's a national debate. Let's look at how that affects us right here. I beg to differ a little bit with my friend France. We may be a sanctuary county at the correctional facility where collaboration or coordination with ICE sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. But I'll tell you what, Whitman Township is not a sanctuary city. Whitman Township, a town of almost 20,000 residents, we absolutely coordinate and collaborate with ICE before we release people that have a hold on them. So Whitman Township is not, and we have 62 municipalities in this county. Every one of them has a police presence or has a policing element in it, and it's up to us at the local level to make sure that we are not a sanctuary county. And finally, perhaps most importantly, what that border wall will do in real border control, real immigration policies, it means jobs. It means jobs to our people. It means all the construction going on across the county. Those should be going to American workers, Americans that are here illegally, and that's the real impact. And also on this public safety, huge impact that we've got to make sure that we can control our borders because it has an effect absolutely locally. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think from the initial question that you asked, I want to start with what is the major impact, the one major impact here in the county. I believe that to be on law enforcement. Law enforcement, when it comes down to, in my background, being a former police officer and working in command and having to have worked on the street and dealing with illegal immigration in our hotels and in our different areas, the burden that it placed upon our local police departments and the state police in Montgomery County was tremendous. At the time, we were catching, and what they call catching, identifying, and releasing. What was that doing for us? Nothing. So it started the burden, and it continues today on our police departments, but it trickles down in the county, and it trickles down to each department. It trickles down to all of the human services, into our court systems, and the costs that are incurred within this county because of the illegal immigration need to be measured, and that's where someone at the county level, working and as a commissioner, needs to be addressing the problems. Moving forward on this, I believe at a national level, I believe in the law, I believe that we need to protect our borders, and we are a sovereign nation, and that we should be doing that. I think that is something that comes to our down to our roots and into our Constitution, and with every other free country in America and in the world, like America, they protect their borders. Why can't we?
I'll ask the second question, but you brought up something I wasn't aware of. Who made us a sanctuary county? Is that
Current
right?
sheriff.
Okay, I just never heard of it. I don't know why the police would have a problem, to be honest with you, as long as their own commissioners back. Nevertheless, I shouldn't have said that. The second question, fiscal issues and spending have dominated criticism of the Democratic commissioners in the last two debates. Can you cite a civic challenge or local concern from your community that is not being addressed by the county that you would bring attention to as a commissioner? Sean?
So I think a local issue that's not being addressed by the county. Well, I think one of the biggest issues in general is the tax issue, and I think that affects us all locally. I think that affects every municipality and every township. The idea that the Democrats raised taxes 22% in 2 years, I think that's an issue that affects us all, locally, meaning locally right in our pockets. So I think that's one of the biggest issues I've seen. I've just seen radical irresponsibility out of two majority commissioners who have no clue what they're doing. They didn't know what county government was until after they got the seat. They are completely clueless. They were both appointees. You have Val Arcouche, who was appointed because she was a big donor to the Democrats. All she knows how to do is be a bobblehead for Josh Shapiro. Then he moves in and he gets another bobblehead, Ken Lawrence. That's all they do, and Josh Shapiro still controls the strings. And all they know is tax and spend. And if it's not taxing, it's some other way to get in your pocketbooks and your wallets. It's the $5 fee on the addition to your vehicle registration fee. Joe opposed that. Joe opposed the tax increases. It's the fees that get added. Thank you. It's the fees that get added for health inspection. That affects our local businesses. So I think that county's decisions on the financial level, countywide, affect us locally. I know we have a lot of restaurants and businesses in our local township, of Plymouth Township, that are affected by these decisions. So that's what I think is the most important thing we have to change.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's many things that need to be changed in the county.
You might still
You
want
better
to
turn your lights on. Let your lights so shine.
There you go.
There are many things that need to be changed in the county. We talked about some of them in the previous forums. Certainly voter services is one of them. And we need to restore trust in voter services. The transportation and traffic woes of this county as the sprawl continues. That's another one we talked about previously. But let's talk about taxing and services. So I'm proud to be the chairman of Whitman Township, which has the 5th lowest local tax burden of the 62 municipalities in Montgomery County. My friend Mike Napolitan, Supervisor Kennedy here in Upper Merion, now has the distinction of having the lowest local tax burden in all of the county. But the reason they are not, and we're not going to keep that low taxes is our school districts. And our school districts are just spending at the rapid rate, and we need to get that under control. And by electing school board members with some fiscal responsibility and some business background that can do that. And that is a county issue. That is a municipal issue. That is the most important issue for residents in Whitman Township and across the county. Good schools, low taxes. That's why we're successful. That's why people are moving here. Right? But you take the low taxes, and you're never going to have enough money to do all the things that all the people want. So what you have to do, as we've done in Whitman, is you find a way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. What we've taken great amount of pride in Whitman, and we're going to bring this to the county through public-private partnerships. Public-private partnerships like our new $7 million Center Square Park, which the taxpayers of Whitman Township paid just a few $1,000s for, because we came up with a public-private partnership with a contractor and with a rec association to build that 100-acre park. And the same thing goes for are other improvements that we've done. Public-private partnerships and fiscal realism is what will get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. I think the biggest issue we face at the county level going into is this fiscal problem that everybody wants to cover up. At the last county commissioner meeting in which I attended, along with two other people here, we saw a state of the county presented by Commissioner Chairman Val Artouche. She sat there to tell us that there was an $88 million surplus in Montgomery County. As we sat there to see in front of us in black and white, and you can print it off and go online with the county, a $16 million loan and deficit, and a $47 million minimal municipal obligation of more additional debt. Approximately $65 million in a county claiming to be $88 million solvent. Do we have a problem in our leadership? Do we have somebody at the helm that has any idea, other than the fact that she stood there to read the comments that were given to her, along with the commissioner that was next to her, about how well this county was being run? I ask us, we're not stupid, and no matter what blinders we put on, we've got to be ready for this. And they're looking right now, and it is no secret, it is frozen because of an election year, a $450 million complex on our courthouse grounds. Can we afford that? No. These people sitting up front here, all of us, have the fiscal responsibility, once elected by you, the Republicans, to correct that problem. These type of ill-reporting manners by the current commissioners are wrong, dead wrong. And that's what I want to bring to this commissioner's race, to let you know that I'm looking at the numbers and trying to figure this out. Thank you.
I was going to France, but I didn't promise.
It's France, it's fine. Thank you, Your Honor. With all due respect to my colleagues to my left, I think the question was, what has the county done that's affected our communities, specifically where we are, our townships?
Yeah, we're talking about, is there a local challenge that you think should be addressed that hasn't been to try to correct that?
So, in Upper Pottsgrove Township, we're largely a bedroom community. However, since I've been a township commissioner, my focus has been on economic development. We have a large tract of land, for those of you that have driven north on Route 100 past Walmart and then up to the Giant. That Upland Square property, that's in West Pottsgrove. 8 years ago, that was supposed to be in, I'm sorry, that's in West Pottsgrove. 8 years ago, that was supposed to be in Upper Pottsgrove, diagonal to where that is today. My focus has been to try to bring economic development to that large tract of land that is on the northeastern corner of Route 100 at that intersection. A few commissioners and I have met with state officials. We've tried to reach out to county officials. I've gone to multiple county commissioners meetings, but also Montgomery County Development Corporation meetings, and gotten no sense of partnership between the county and Upper Pottsgrove Township. So the one thing that the county has not done that has directly affected my community is not work as a partner with Upper Pottsgrove Township. And the one thing that I want to do as a county commissioner, because I'm acutely aware that we're 62 sovereign municipalities, I want to be a good municipal partner as a county commissioner. And I think that's what we needed in Upper Pottsgrove, and that's what I'm going to bring to all 62 municipalities come next January. Thank you.
Who has the cards? You do? You're gonna let Liz draw them in? Liz, you wanna draw the cards?
I'll do it.
I hope we're not gonna reach in and go, yes, sir.
The winner is?
All right, this is the question. What are your thoughts on the proposed KOP high-speed rail line? Start with,
I'm happy to start there.
Turn on your mic, Fred.
Thank you.
Fred, you're
You're
gonna
welcome.
be great if you get
So $1.5 billion for a high-speed line to the mall and to the casino. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I know the people of Upper Merion know whether that's a good idea or not. And I also know the people of Upper Merion haven't really been consulted in that process, of which is ongoing. So the people of Upper Merion, not the city of the Edge City or the city of King of Prussia, they've been paid lip service to. They've been brought to a couple meetings, some here, most not, where other agencies, other organizations, other government entities have told them what they should have. So, as I said in my opening, this is emblematic that we're meeting here, because we may not agree on 100% of the things as Republicans, but we can definitely agree that we will talk to our voters, we will talk to our residents and our small business owners, which hasn't happened here. Hasn't happened here. Organizations like SEPTA, the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, the Montgomery County Planning Commission, and other entities from the state are determining what's going to happen in this community. That's wrong. That should not happen. This is a community. This is somebody, what is it? There are almost 30,000 people's hometown here. They should have a say. And ultimately, they should have decide what's going to happen here. This is not it has become a regional attraction for sure, but it's still a hometown. And the hometown people need to be listened to. I know in Whitman Township, our residents are heard. We collaborate with them, we have town hall meetings, and we have legitimate cooperation and collaboration. And that's what should happen here.
In agreement with Fred on this, when it comes down to the money that's going to be spent, and it should be a local issue for you here in Upper Merion Township, since it will be affecting you. But fully well knowing, for those of you who don't know about the Lafayette Street Corridor project, the majority of that with the interconnection with the Pennsylvania Turnpike has been going on for the last 10 years in Plymouth Township. A project of probably 1/10 the value, far less complicated, but so drug out and so mismanaged, I can only imagine what this rail line would be managed like here in Upper Merion. That being said, we're still waiting for our on and off ramps on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. We're still waiting for Lafayette Street to open in Plymouth Township and connect the Conshohocken corridor on the Conshohocken Road. We're still waiting for Ridge Pike to be widened to 5 lanes. We're still waiting for the intersections of Ridge Pike and Allenwood Road, Ridge Pike and Carlin Road, and the 8 bridges that are along Ridge Pike to be repaired. An approved project managed by Montgomery County that is flailing dismally. And people ask me every day, you were on council, what's going on? Well, we contributed, we were involved in the process, and it hasn't been finished. So the money that's been collected by the county, through the federal government, through the county, and administered by the county, now they're dealing with the money being collected for the $5 fee on our registrations, the $3 million that's collected yearly. How come it's not getting done? I caution you here in Upper Merion, be aware of what's going on around you and be involved.
Thank you, Judge. Turn my mic on. A whole lot of me just wants to say ditto, but I won't in the interest of giving full answers this evening. I just spoke for a few minutes about being a good municipal partner. And what I would simply say to you, Your Honor, is that I would go to folks like Mike Napolitan and say, what do you and your neighbors here in Upper Merion think about the proposed high-speed line? And how can we work together? If you're against it and the neighbors and your neighbors in Upper Merion Township are against it, then I need to advocate that position on the Board of Commissioners. If in fact the neighbors are for it, then I would be a good municipal partner again, work together with them, advocate that position on the Board of Commissioners. But certainly a top-down approach to anything, whether it's a high-speed line or anything else, is not the right way the government should operate, and I wouldn't operate that way either.
So this is another daydreaming fantasy that they have. They have no idea what this plan is. They're talking about it. They have no idea how they're going to get the funding for it. The county has no idea. Oh, maybe we'll get federal funding. Maybe we'll get state funding. I don't know how much the county's going to put. This is just talk. This is all fantasy of what they like to envision. I don't know if you guys remember, I guess it's probably 10 years ago now, they were going to turn Norristown into Little Hollywood. Remember that? And we spent millions of dollars for nothing. That's what they're going to do again. This is all just talk and spending. When they talk, we lose money. That's how Democrats work when they're in office. It's fantasy land. It's the Green New Deal. It's all these things they talk about that are not practical, cannot be done. That's the high-speed rail project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Order random picks.
Another one?
Okay, now this one's acceptable. The rest of them were critical of the moderator. Okay, this is a question. What is your position on the SEPTA Light Rail project? You,
That's
the same one.
no wonder it looked good.
Deserve to be talked about twice.
All the questions are about. Pick mine, Judge.
The Pennsylvania sunshine laws require the taking of minutes and other requirements when a quorum is present during the commissioners' meetings. How do you plan to handle the law if they want to talk about Montgomery County issues without having the sunshine law applied?
I guess that's to me, Judge, but I don't understand the question. Since the quorum in Montgomery County would be 2 of the commissioners, so how would you want us to answer that?
Well, what they're saying is how do you plan as a commissioner to handle the law if the other commissioners, even if it's the majority commissioners, want to talk about Montgomery County issues? We had a county chairman, a county commissioner that was arrested because he had a meeting at a restaurant, I think.
Right.
Now, my question, I guess, is what do you, as if you were on the Board of Commissioners, assuming you were in the minority for a second,
Okay.
what would you propose to be done?
I think we, all of us who are elected here in local government, have to follow the sunshine law, and we're very familiar with it. It is a serious thing, and it is something, other than dealing with personnel issues and administrative issues that are blanketed underneath that, we daily would have to deal with that. There would never be a quorum where 2 of the 3 should never do that, and you should be pointing and providing a violation to the State Ethics Commission if you know of that violation. That should not be allowed, and if one of the commissioners who is involved is doing that, or 2 of them are involved in a quorum, then they should be immediately reported to the Ethics Commission for violation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think it's a common sense, no-brainer type question. Where there are 2, you do not talk about county business. You are allowed to talk about pending litigation, real estate, some of those things. Those of us that are in government understand there's certain exceptions that you're allowed to be in executive session for. But that executive session also needs to be announced to the public either before or after, actually before and after, technically speaking, taking place. So wherever there are 2, you do not talk county business. If you are the 3rd and you know that there were 2 at any point together, anywhere, bar, restaurant, home, anywhere else, where county business may have been talked about, you blow the whistle and you make sure that light is brought to it.
Thank you. Sean?
Thank you. So the Sunshine Act requires that there be public meetings to discuss county business. It became the light primarily with the Matthews Hospital at the Diner Club. And that's when it really became to the forefront. That's when the public's really got to know that. But it's common sense. When you meet in the public setting, and that's where you deliberate and vote. The county has protocols in place where they meet with like the COO and the operators of the county, meet with the commissioners individually to discuss business. So it prevents there from being that quorum when the county business is being discussed. They have procedures in place for that. Of course, you can look any day of the week, you go on Arcouche and Warren's Facebook, the current majority commissioners, you'll see them together at a county event. They walk across the street together to go to the Democrat County headquarters. A couple of weeks ago, they were on vacation together in Israel. So it's not uncommon for two commissioners to be together. The difference is you don't call it county business. That's when you violate the county. You don't talk about how you're going to vote. That's when you violate the Sunshine Act. So it's not necessarily the two commissioners staying together. It's what they discuss and how they deliberate. In that case, in the instance with Matthews and Hoffel, the reporter sat in his booth behind them and observed them speaking county business. So that's when it became a violation of the Sunshine Act. And it was weeks and weeks of doing that on a regular basis. It was a deep investigation by that reporter. So the law itself just requires that the county deliberation be done and the votes be done and the records being kept at a county meeting.
Thank you. But it is interesting when only a Republican got arrested. Go ahead.
Well, I guess the Sunshine Law wouldn't change. All right, thank you. It's getting me to happen. So I guess that Sunshine Law would potentially pose some problems for Gale family get-togethers. That notwithstanding, I've learned in 15 years of local government, transparency and getting the information out is the only way to go. So whenever we have an important issue that's before Whitman Township, what we do is we get the word out, various means to make sure that our voters, our business owners, our residents, those people that are affected by it, come out to public meetings. All too often, we go to a public meeting with just a handful of people in the room. And government governs best when it governs in the open, governs in the sunshine, and governs when it governs least. So absolutely, Sunshine Law is a key component of local government and county government. And the fact is that the three of us here are quite experienced in municipal government. Our incumbent commissioners don't have that experience, don't bring those lessons learned of municipal government and the many things and how our municipalities work, how they interact with our neighbors. So someone on that board of commissioners needs to have that experience of how our municipalities work, how a planning commission makes a recommendation to a board of supervisors, how a planning commission makes a recommendation to a zoning hearing board, and then on to the board of supervisors. How those municipalities interact with the county government, with the county planning commission, how our police departments interact with the district attorney and the sheriff's office and the correctional facility. Those kind of local lessons learned from those 62 municipalities, those lessons need to be present at in any deliberation at the county level. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to respond. I think it's very interesting Fred Connor here thinks that he has the right to accuse me of doing ethical violations before I'm even on the commission. Like I have some kind of plan to go violate the Sunshine Act. Let me tell you something, Fred. I'm an attorney. I understand confidentiality. I know how to stay confidential. And I don't need you to make some kind of insinuation about Gale family gatherings. Okay?
Well, it wasn't an insinuation
No,
at all.
That's exactly what
I
it
just
was.
said that it might pose some challenges.
It's not a challenge, okay? It's not a challenge. You know what? Then you better not be a majority, because you can't speak to anybody if you can't not talk county business. There's a time and place to talk about things. I know what it is. Obviously, you have trouble distinguishing that. That's why you think there might be a problem.
No,
Wait, you
I have
mean
no
the law-
trouble
You mean
at
the
all.
law applies, doesn't apply to the two Republicans or two Democrats? Why wouldn't it?
What?
If they're discussing, they're
No.
discussing county business.
I'm saying that I can be in a room with somebody who's on the board and not talk county business.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I know how to follow the law. I'm a lawyer, okay? I know what confidentiality is, I know how to do that.
I'm not, I should say, I'm not.
You take a cheap shot because you know you're gonna lose, that's what it is.
I should say, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV, but I do know how to follow the law. And I do know how to follow sunshine laws. And if you got a little upset that, I'm sorry, Sean, but this is the big leagues.
You're obviously not prepared. If you can't follow the Sunshine Act, which is very common, Dean Smith,
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
it's not hard to follow. You just go and you speak county business in a public
Let me
forum.
just
If you
say-
can't follow that, then you're not fit to be commissioner.
I'm asking the attendees if they wish to stay and discuss, mingle with you and discuss the questions that you have. Obviously weren't asked here. I'd ask them to give you that courtesy. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.